Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Frempong, and I'd also thank the ED for the nice and very elaborate opening remark. This is a very well attended webinar. At least I have recorded about 288 persons out there, and I believe it has something to, and it keeps climbing, the importance of this particular discussion. I bring to you love and warm greetings from the African Development Bank, your premier development finance institution. And I say good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everybody, depending on where you are. My name is Jonas Chianu. I am a chief agricultural economist at the African Development Bank in the Department of Agriculture and Agro-Industry. I coordinate the bank-funded multinational technologies for African agricultural transformation that is jointly implemented by the CG Centers, Advanced Research Institutes of FARA, and the NARES in its broadest definition. TAAT is one of the flagship programs for the implementation of the bank's Feed Africa corporate priority. And before I talk more, let me say a few things about the other parts of the corporate priorities of the bank, the Feed Africa, the high fives. High five number 2 is Light Up and Power Africa. Number 3 is Industrialize Africa. Number 4 is Integrate Africa. Number 5, and the most important, is improve the quality of life of the people of Africa. Now, why do we talk of Feed Africa? As at the time we started formulating the Feed Africa program, the statistics we had shows that 420 million Africans were living under the poverty line. And that statistics has not changed significantly, even though we have been working for the past three years. And the whole idea is that if we do nothing, this number will increase to about 550 million by 2025. So there is need to do something. Then most of about 3% of African children are living in chronic hunger. And if we do nothing, it will increase by 2025. And there is a staggering expenditure by Africans on food importation. Then it stood at 35 billion annually. But actually recent statistics shows us that it has actually gone to 47 billion. And of course, with the pandemic situation and all the problems farmers are facing now, it can even go higher. And then we have just been producing and selling primary produce instead of adding value. The targets that Feed Africa has for 2025 is to contribute to alleviate poverty and lift about 130 million people out of poverty, and help to increase food security in Africa, eliminate large-scale imports, as well as increase the share of Africans in the processed food markets. The goal contributes to the goal of the African Union, which is to contribute to end extreme poverty, eliminate hunger and malnutrition, become a net exporter of agricultural commodities, and move Africa to the top of key agricultural value chains. Now, if you look at, can you go to the next slide, slide 3? If you look at the agricultural situation in Africa, and you look at the first graph there, the top left, you find out that productivity, okay, agriculture hires a lot of people in Africa, but it contributes just little to the GDP. What it tells you is that African agriculture is actually unproductive. So we need to make it more productive. And if you look at the number of people who are living in poverty from different regions in Africa, it is just very high. And then you look at productivity, which is the second below by the left, you find that productivity across all the crops, it's not even these ones that we have presented, is very, very low. compared to what is possible under best practices. And then you go to the right down corner of the graph, you find out that we're talking about comparing imports with exports. Imports are way ahead of the exports, so we have a problem. And this is exactly why we created TAAT. So now, TAAT is working in what we call work packages or compacts. And then we have 15 compacts. Out of that 15 compacts, 9 of them are for commodities. And then those commodities, they need enablers, like even the CDTO, which is capacity development and technology outreach, to be able to express themselves. So we have 6 enablers. Now, what problem is being addressed by TAAT? Lack of access of farmers to productivity increasing technologies. You know, before we have this cliche that a lot of technologies have been developed in Africa and they are all on the shelf. So TAAT is helping us to bring them out of the shelf and also to come up with coordination that is required across so many institutions that are important to assist with this. The rationale behind TAAT is based on what has happened elsewhere. If you look at Latin American countries, and then you look at Brazil and what Embrapa is doing, working with the public sector, the private sector, to mobilize technologies and take them to the farmers and use them for profit. And then you look at Asia, you look at Thailand, for instance. In these Asian countries like Thailand, they have agencies dedicated to technology management, transfer, and commercialization. Now, the purpose of TAAT is to rapidly expand access of small-scale farmers in Africa to high-yielding technologies that will enable them to increase their production and have value for sale in the market. So TAAT is created to address the notion that technologies have remained on the shelf and to be able to use science, innovation, knowledge to be able to move technologies to the field where they can express themselves. Now, if we do this, we are expecting to reach about 40 million beneficiaries who proven technologies. And we expect to create about 120 additional million tons of food annually. And we expect to add value, to create value in the neighborhood of 1.7 to 2.8 billion. And once the market system absorbs the increased production, these will translate into monetary value, part of which can be plowed back for increased access to and use of agricultural research products or technologies by way of increased adoption, and the cycle continues. By so doing, there will be numerous opportunities created in the realms of research products and their important combinations that can lead to the desired goals in the areas of, for instance, improved seeds, improved livestock breeds, fish fingerlings, mineral and organic fertilizers, crop protection, and also this thing we call good agricultural practices and the related logistics. And all these will trigger different lines of agripreneur opportunities that will contribute to the much needed agro-industrialization in Africa. All these clearly demonstrate the significant importance of this webinar. The speakers will address these issues in more details, giving their different perspectives also gained within TAAT and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chianu, as expected, bringing in all the energy that started TAAT.